let's first start with the macro trend for Hex. So it's within its macro channel since it's began trading. So which is one observation. If you guys use the charts on TradingView, just be cautious with the initial candles because the prices shown here are actually not correct. So the data, at least off the initial weekly candles, is not accurate on TradingView. Do use Uniswap V1 if you want that higher accuracy. But basically, if you use Uni V1 charts, you end up getting a channel like so, and we're just doing more or less pretty much what we've always done. We're now back at the trend line support for this channel. So it's really impressive how long it's held this overall macro trend, because holding a linear line on a log chart is like it's pretty ridiculous actually, because you have to think every single time you do a 10x on a log chart, it gets in theory harder to make the next 10x because the market size is a lot larger. So it's having a very impressive run where it's just holding this linear trend line. So the price growth has been extremely aggressive, and I think there is a lot of merit to the speculation that's taking place around the Pulse X sacrifice. There's obviously a lot of supply that's already gone into Pulse X, so that does create supply sinks and significantly reduce the sell side pressure in the market at a later point in time. Now, since we are in the Pulse X sac phase, there's of course the speculation around Overwatch. Sure, things can happen on a week to week basis. I'm mostly just looking at the growth from a macro trend. So I would say we've had a nice retracement since the peaks around 50 cents. If you have not bought Hex already, I would suggest using the Pulse X sacrifice phase at least as an opportunity to start to build up those positions if you haven't done so already, because the retracements, at least on Hex, historically tend to be pretty short-lived if you just consider every single retracement we've had so far. The longest one we had was really this one, but this wasn't really a very extreme. So this is rather gentle, so it took a little bit longer to play out. Generally, whenever you have like a deep sell-off, you do bottom out faster. You actually do bottom out much faster whenever you have aggressive sell-offs. And so far, at least the move we've seen down since the peaks, this was a bit more steep compared to the first big move. So you could actually see bottoming out faster. It's definitely possible. The price is bottomed out at the wick here, close to the trend line support. So it's looking really good. I would say, since obviously the chart's going to keep evolving over time, generally like holding linear uptrends in crypto is pretty amazing. So price performance has been really good, and I would say it's obviously achieved a lot over 2 years. I think at this point I do consider like, even though nobody's really talking about this, like I would start pushing the narrative that Hex is an anchor in the market, much like people perceive Bitcoin and Ethereum, because the price performance has been really good. So I do believe Hex has the potential to become that anchor and even flip Ethereum over the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, we'll see if this trend line holds as support, but so long as it does, with where Ethereum is at today, like if this trend line support holds, like Hex can very easily flip ETH over the next 6 to 12 months. Like, not financial advice, but it is possible, because the
What's the
local
top of that channel there? That's like Kinetics territory, moon
yeah.
territory.
So the top of the channel this time around, this will put you around, depending on where you hit the top of the channel, you're basically looking at multi-dollar targets.
Oh
So
boy.
yeah, generally you actually want like a more gradual ascend up to higher price levels, because you do hit higher price targets as a result. Anytime you have like a really aggressive, explosive move, like if you did see something like this, you will see like sort of premature selling, because people, like when they see really big moves, it does sort of change like the mental psychology to some extent, as you kind of saw around big payday. So if you have a more gradual uptrend, it does lead to higher levels of price discovery, because you're over time, you have the fair market value shifting up, and then whatever peaks you have on a log chart also shift up in theory over time. So, I would say multi-dollar targets. I still say for 2022, I'm going to say basically $2 hex sometime in 2022, and then we'll of course always go back and revisit these conversations to see which targets have held. So the models in the hex community are really good. I think you guys also should check out some interesting models that Whales Only has. It puts another perspective on what's possible if you're looking at higher valuations, because I do use $1 to $2 as sort of my soft target as to where I could see prices end up landing. But it is possible to go actually higher, because we also have to consider that we are talking about the prices in a very pre-viral stage. Like if there is a significant surge as to mainstream discussions on hex on very mainstream news outlets, that gets a lot more eyes and a lot more speculation into the market. So we have to consider that everything so far that has happened, this has resulted in a pre-viral stage, and the liquidity isn't very high. So some of these crazier price targets that are mentioned are, if you consider the liquidity that's there, you could see those price targets.